want to begin by thanking our panelists who are joining us tonight. Very busy college students. One of the most difficult thing about arranging this program is finding students who can collaborate, and be together at the same time. So I know it's a sacrifice and I know you're busy, but it's of great value to our listening audience. It's a great value to St. Thomas to have you willing to come on and talk about your experience, both as high school students and in college. So thank you so much. I'll let you introduce yourselves in just a moment. I want to introduce my co-moderator here, Sanjay Phillip, one of our current seniors at St. Thomas Episcopal. I'm Danny Cahaley, Director of Admissions here. So we'll start just by doing a round of introductions. Sanjay, why don't you go ahead and lead off for us?
Yeah, hi, I'm Sanjay. I've been at the school for like 14 years now. I'm a senior and probably going to A&M, so James Gig'em. And I'm ambassador president. I work with Mr. K. Haley at the school, and then I'm also a student foundation president.
Mm-hmm. And so, Kate, why don't you get us started? List your university, major, graduation year from St. Thomas.
Sure. I'm Kate Grimley. I graduated from St. Thomas in 2021, and I go to Hillsdale College studying biochemistry with a minor in music.
Great. Cristina?
Hi, everyone. My name is Cristina Arguelles. I graduated in 2021, and I'm now studying at Louisiana State University in interior design and construction management.
Great. Lena?
Hi, my name is Lena Stewart. I go to Baylor University. I graduated STE in 2021, and my major currently is management and international business.
Great. Thanks. James?
Hi, everyone. I'm James McWhinnie. I currently attend Texas A&M University. I graduated in 2022, and I'm now doing chemical engineering.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Let me do a little bit of a setup about our program tonight. It really is something we started last year, and we hope to make it an annual tradition here. We started it for a few reasons, actually. One is we found our 8th grade families were already having questions about high school and about college counseling and the college selection process. So we thought, what better way than to connect with some of our recent alums to talk about your experience. Do you live the high school experience here? You can talk knowledgeably about it. And you, now that you're in college, part of what we do as a school is produce great alumni. You are the outcome of our overall investment, the investment of the school, the investment of your parents. So if we are producing great alumni, then we are meeting our mission of producing honorable young men and women through a classical education grounded in the Christ-centered worldview. We're also sustaining sort of that academic, social, emotional aspects of what we're striving to do. So that's why we thought it would be good to pull together this webinar. It also gives us a chance to connect with our alumni, which is always a great thing for a school like a St. Thomas, where we have a very tight-knit community, a very family-like community. So we want to speak with our own internal community, with our 8th graders. We also want to speak more largely to students that may be looking at St. Thomas for high school and applying to our 9th grade or 10th grade or 11th grade, as is the case, because what we do here, as we'll talk about tonight, is a very special thing. And I want to hear about your experiences and your memories and the things that you look back on that prepared you to be successful at the next level, going into the college and university level. So with that, what I'd like to do is kind of explore some of what your experiences here at St. Thomas were like, some of what you were involved in, what you did, what you look back on as fond memories. And Sanjay will kind of explore the college side of things. As a current senior, he's going through it all right now as we speak. So I think your insights will be helpful to him and to our senior class for that matter. So to kick that off, we'll start in reverse order this time and start with you, James. Can you talk a little bit about your selection process for A&M and what colleges you looked at and how life at A&M has generally been for you?
So when I was looking for colleges, I was looking for a really good engineering school, of course, because that's what my major, I was thinking about majoring, doing some sort of chemical engineering, which is what I'm trying to pursue now. I looked at different colleges like Texas Tech, UT was another option that I was looking at, and then Rice. But I applied to A&M early, which I advise doing because it was really good doing it early because I know a lot of people got accepted a lot later, and I was one of the first ones to be accepted. The entry was different for me because I'm an engineer, so I had to do another essay application and write on why I wanted to be an engineer and why that they should accept me in it. So that was a different aspect from other people that I found. The application process itself it wasn't too bad because I had to just write about different like diversity, why I wanted to go A&M, and different things that I could bring to the school. So far, A&M has been a really good impact. I think that St. Thomas has really prepared me for it so far. Learning hard classes still, and I think that St. Thomas transitioned me very well to that because I still have this strong work ethic going into it and doing these classes. So
Awesome. Thanks, James. How about you, Lena? Tell us about Baylor. How did you choose Baylor? How's it been so far?
Yes, I was planning on going to Baylor. I applied and I knew I kind of wanted to go to Baylor a few years before I applied. I just really think Baylor aligned with like my morals, and it kind of had that big school feel, yet also a kind of more St. Thomas feel. Smaller class sizes, there's obviously not as many students as A&M, but I really enjoy how it's a little bit similar in that way as STE, like being close to my teachers, forming good connections with people, my classmates, having that connection. I think STE honestly really prepared me for Baylor. It's the workload is obviously a little harder in college, but it's really STE and college are kind of similar workloads. I think it really prepared me.
Right.
Just faster paced, but every college is like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Very good. And I think to sort of bounce off some of the things you were saying, it reminded me, why the group of you four? Why did we choose you as panelists? I wish I could give you a very kind of elaborate explanation for that. But honestly, Lena, Cristina, James, I ran to you guys over the Christmas, New Year's break. And I'm like, we're putting together this webinar. Can you participate? And not only to say yes, but you enthusiastically said yes. So, that's, like I said, it wasn't this great sort of formula we do. We just find alumni that we think would be good in a webinar format, and ask you guys to share your experiences. And with Kate, I think she represents a really interesting perspective in as far out of state as she's gone and to the type of college she attends. But before we get to you, Kate, Cristina, can you tell us about LSU and sort of your calculus for choosing that school, going out of state, and how your experience has been generally?
Yes, of course. Like Lena said, LSU kind of did what she was expecting. It's that St. Thomas feel where you're very close with your teachers. My major specifically, there's only about 43 of us in our sophomore year program. So it really gives us that small classroom aspect, and we call our professors basically by their first name. That's how close we are. And that just really drew me in. Louisiana people are so nice, so that also just drew me in. But it was a very big school, and it was a little bit scary at first coming from St. Thomas. But I think with all the things that I liked about it, it just made it feel like home away from home. So that was my biggest thing, because I just remember telling my college counselor, like, I cannot go anywhere further than 5 hours. Like St. Thomas, Houston, they're my home. But LSU kind of created that in its own way. So that's what definitely drew me out here. So
okay. Awesome. Thanks so much. And Kate, tell us about Hillsdale. Now, we've had a few students apply there over the years, and you're not the only graduate of St. Thomas currently attending, but it's a small school. So tell us about your decision to attend Hillsdale and how your experience has been there.
Yes, it's a little bit about Hillsdale. It's a classical education, mostly liberal arts school in Southern Michigan. So as someone interested in studying biochemistry, not exactly the first thing people think of. And I was actually really against Hillsdale at first. I did not want to go here. it was my mom's choice for me for school. And she said, "It's a nerd school. You'll fit right in." So, of course, I did not want to go to Hillsdale, but I visited in March of my senior year. And it was really the people who I met here that drew me to the school. Everyone was just so kind. And it's exactly the kind of people that I would want to be friends with and the people who I would want to become more like, living with them for the next 4 years. And so that was really important to me, is just surrounding myself with people who I would want to be around. And even though I'm a biochem major, I still really love English and history and philosophy. And at Hillsdale, I get all of those things. So I'm studying biochemistry and music, but the core curriculum here is really into the humanities. And so it's kind of like, as I did at St. Thomas, I get to study everything, even though my focus is in the sciences. And I really loved that about Hillsdale. And yes, as you did say, there is one other person from St. Thomas at Hillsdale. And I do run into him sometimes since the school is so small. We're only 1,600 kids. So there are not many of us. But I actually found Hillsdale through St. Thomas, through the government teacher, Mrs. O'Neill. Her daughter graduated from Hillsdale last year. And so she talked to me a lot about the school while I was at St. Thomas, because she was the mock trial coach and I was in the mock trial program. So.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up, because this sense of connection and, you know, a network, I think is something that is really special about St. Thomas, even when you leave St. Thomas. So I'm kind of curious to know, as you all are in your first or second year of college, you know, talk to me about, have you maintained the connections with your classmates? I guess, Cristina, if you could lead us off, like, who do you maintain contact with? What colleges do they attend? Just give us the overall.
So I will say, Lena is one of my really, really, really good friends. We've both been at St. Thomas since we were basically 4 years old. So a lot of my connections stemmed from there. I would say the majority of my friends do go to Baylor. So it was hard leaving the state when I knew they were all staying. But SC definitely set me up to remain in close contact with the alumni program being so strong and pulling us back. And just being such a welcoming campus, because you never lose those connections with your your teachers and the people in the office. They are always there for you. They're a great connection. So building them while you are there is the most beneficial thing that you can do. But yes.
Yeah, you keep in touch with folks. And, you know, I had said that the panelists we have was by random choice. That's not technically true. You know, I wanted a sampling of alums that could represent in-state, out-of-state, large state university, small private college. So I think it was, but also by virtue of your major and what you're studying, you're all doing something different as well, which I think is really cool and speaks to kind of what Kate was saying about Hillsdale, that liberal arts sense that you also get here at St. Thomas of being well-rounded in your knowledge of different areas. So as far as keeping in touch with other alumni, James, who do you still maintain contact with, and do you still talk to a lot of graduates that from your graduating class here?
So actually I do. I think that St. Thomas definitely brought my grade together, and we had very close connections. So I still have, my best friend actually goes to Hillsdale. He's the other student that goes there. So I keep in contact with him. I met him a lot over the break. And like a good thing as well is there's a lot of alumni that actually went to A&M too. So I get to see them a lot walking, as much as it's a really big school. We all go to around the same classes. I think only one other goes to the engineering building, who I'm really good friends with now. And he's actually my roommate for next year. So it set up that St. Thomas set up a very close connection with him, because I met him through band. And when we went to the Scotland competition over the summer and everything, that really kept us close together. And now I get to see a lot of the St. Thomas, a lot of my St. Thomas friends around. Actually, one of the girls that I met, that I'm good friends with from high school as well, lives in the same kind of off-campus living that I'm in right now. She actually lives in the dorm above me. So I get to see her a lot, go out for lunch and everything. But for people who actually go out to different, like that went to different colleges, I keep in contact with a lot of them, a lot of the band members and people who had a lot of the activities and extracurriculars with, because it just, that tight bond of St. Thomas kept us together. And I think that even though we're so far apart, coming back during the breaks or maybe just catching up on a phone call every couple of weeks and just seeing how we are is a really good thing.
Yeah. Well, I know when prospective families visit and I take them around the campus, one of my favorite things to show are all the pennants, which represent all the acceptances for each of our graduating senior classes, or I guess the last graduating senior class, or what the pennants represent when you do the pennant hanging ceremony and you get to put your pennants up in the high school. So it's amazing. The great thing about living in Texas is it's massive and you have so many options for education. I would anticipate, like most private schools in Houston and cities around Texas, you have a lot of students that stay in state because you have a wealth of great options that are affordable because they're in state as well. Cristina, so tell me a little bit about your favorite memory from St. Thomas. When you think back on your time here, what is it that really jumps out at you and, you know, stays stuck in your nostalgia for this place?
I would definitely say taking Latin was the thing that really stuck with me. I did many things while at SC, from Highland dance to art and that kind of thing, but I think taking Latin is just such a unique thing that most kids don't ever know. And the professors made it so fun and engaging, so it didn't feel like a chore. But I think Latin really stood out when I came to another school and people asked what I did, and it was just very shocking. So that was definitely a big one.
Very cool. Lena, how about you?
Let's see, let me think. I think the Scottish Arts program is really unique because here at Baylor, I'm involved in this thing called Sing, and it's all university. It's a performance that we put on every spring at Baylor, and there are a lot of students involved, and it's kind of like a performance, dance performance, singing. And when I tell people, I've done dance before, I said, I've done dance before. They're like, oh, what kind? I'm like, Scottish dancing, actually. So it's really funny and kind of a unique thing, just to tell students that I've been involved in Scottish festival and dance competitions and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool.
And I'm sure you get is, oh, can you do a little bit for us? Can we see what that looks like?
Yep, many people ask, yes. But it's really cool to see because my brother, I know people, my brother plays the bagpipes as well. So they're like, have you ever heard the bagpipes? And I was like, I hear it all the time in my house.
What are
It's amazing. Yeah, exactly. But it's just really unique. And I don't think any of my friends here at Baylor have ever experienced that either. So it's really cool. Yeah.
Kate, what are some of your favorite memories or your favorite memory?
Yeah, so Cristina, it's funny you'd mention Latin because I actually tutor Latin at a local high school here. Because it's something that not many people study. But my favorite thing I did at St. Thomas was probably mock trial. Every year we would go compete at regionals, and we would almost always get a bid for the state competition, and we would go up to Dallas. And just having that trip with the team, because it was never more than 10 people. So it was a very tight-knit group. And even now, like, oh goodness, the team from my senior year, I'm gonna turn the lights on real quick. I'll come right back.
Yeah, go ahead.
They're motion censored. The team from my senior year still sends me regular updates on like how they're doing and how competitions go. And it's just so nice to still have that connection back to St. Thomas because they know that I really care about that program. And so it's wonderful that they kind of like, I'm still connected to it in that way. It really means a lot. So
I pointed out the big gavels today and taking someone around the school, you know, the
Yes.
most professional in state, which, you know, was determined by actual judges and
Yes.
attorneys that are, you know, part of the competition.
So we won one of those my sophomore year, and that was really cool.
Oh, I imagine. Absolutely. James, how about you? What are your top few favorite memories from St. Thomas?
So I would definitely have to go with band. And I know Sanjay's going to agree with me on this too, because we went on the Scotland World Championship trip over the summer. And I think that was one of the best experiences of my life. I think connecting with the band members and just having that was a really good really good trip and brought a lot of us close together. And that's why I still keep in contact with them. And it's something really interesting when people are saying, oh, I play an instrument, or like they ask if you've played an instrument. And then when I say, oh, I play the bagpipes, like half of them will say, I have no clue what that is, or can you play them for me? Is this like second answer? I'm like, well, they're very loud, so I can't really play them anywhere around campus, but I try and practice as much as I can. But all my friends always ask me if I can try and do it. But no, I'd definitely say band was an amazing experience. Not even just that one trip, but overall, just going on band trips and having that experience and having that close friend group is a really good thing.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And James, you're kind of unique to this group in that you entered at St. Thomas in 9th grade, coming from another private school that ended in 8th grade. Tell me about looking at St. Thomas as a school and leaving 8th grade, because I think that would be both helpful for our current 8th graders to know, your determination coming in, but also students that may be looking at St. Thomas and not knowing a lot about us, and maybe in a very similar situation that you were in, where you did something that was kind of independent in a lot of ways. Yeah.
So from my 8th grade school, I was looking at a lot of different high schools around Houston, seeing what was best. And obviously there was ones closer to me were like Episcopal High School and Strake, and I went to visit a lot of them, and it felt nice, but I needed something that was really very close together and like family oriented. And I remember going on the first tour to St. Thomas. We actually came late, and it was Miss Hesse, and she was taking us around on a tour, and she was like, oh, I think there's a different time, but I'll take you around anyway while everyone's in class and everything. So we were walking around campus and talking a lot. And honestly, I came out of that tour and I said to my parents, I remember saying that this felt like a family. And I was like, this is where I want to go. I've never been more set on my ways of where I want to go. And my parents were like, well, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. So going there was it was something different too, because a lot of my friends from my old school, they went to different colleges. None of them went to St. Thomas. All of them went to different colleges or different high schools around Houston. And so it was very different for me transitioning without that kind of same group as friends. But honestly, to me, going to St. Thomas was a really good transition. And I think that having that close-knit and small class sizes lets you get to know your class more, because I talked to a lot of my friends here who went to the bigger high schools or like kind of the bigger private high schools, and they were like, yeah, I didn't really get to know everyone in my grade, or I had like these couple of friends. I feel like St. Thomas, walking into the senior lounge or walking into a class and knowing all of the people in your class was a really good thing. I think it was definitely more family oriented, and it was a really good experience. So.
Awesome, thanks. And so Lena, to continue sort of that same train of thought, if you were advising 8th grade Lena on what to do in high school and giving her good advice, what advice would you give her?
I think I would say to kind of not look around at what other people are doing, because I think I was really worried about what my other friends are doing, if they're going anywhere else, and I kind of was putting pressure on myself, watching them do other things than me. And I think that my decision of, going through STE, I've been there for 13 years. I went there 14 years, and it was really fantastic experience. And I think just worrying about where I want to be and what I want to do, instead of worrying about what everyone around me is doing, would have been great advice for me.
And speaking of how long you've been here, I have you guys yearbooks, right? I think I counted roughly like 20, close to a quarter of the class, maybe slightly less, were what we call 13-year vets who done the full, spectrum, kindergarten through graduation here. Cristina, how about you? You're advising 8th grade Cristina on best preparation for high school, what to expect, what kinds of things would you tell her?
I would definitely have told myself to find electives that I wanted to stay all the way through, like keep through high school and prove to college, like this is what I want to keep in my life going forward. I jumped around, I think my freshman year with different electives, which kind of threw off my track, but I think after that I felt pretty good. So just finding classes that you enjoy, don't force yourself to take classes that your friends might be taking if you're not very interested, because it might just not work out for you. But just getting involved in what makes you happy. Definitely I would tell myself to do that freshman year.
Yeah.
But
All right, Kate, how about you? Best advice for someone looking to enter high school?
Yeah, similar to Christina, I was involved in a lot of things. You can see Christina and Lena nodding. I did a lot of things. But because of that, I felt like I really couldn't invest as much time as I wanted to into the things that I really loved. And so if I had chosen like 3 or 4 things my freshman year and really stuck with them, I think overall I would have enjoyed it more. I mean, I still enjoyed doing everything that I did, and it was all wonderful. But at the same time, it makes me wonder, like, what more could I have accomplished in those things if I had the time to put into it? Because I took a lot of AP classes. I took a lot of really rigorous classes. I was in a lot of the arts. So I didn't have as much class flexibility. All of my flexibility was in extracurriculars. And I just really overloaded myself with them. So I would say be wary of how much you're committing to. But at the same time, don't be afraid to have fun. And if you try something for a year and you decide it's not for you, that's totally fine. You can find something else that you enjoy and put your time into that. And just have a good time doing what you're doing. Enjoy what you're doing. Because you only get 4 years to do it. And I mean, really, when I'm out having my career, it's not going to matter that, I led the Bible study. Like, it was something that I enjoyed doing. And so I'm glad that I spent my time in that.
Absolutely. Well, and what I love that so many of you have mentioned is I think perceptually people look at St. Thomas and they think academics, but you've all touched on band, the fine arts, all facets of the band, drumming, piping, dance. And athletics. So we haven't really talked about that, but I know some of you, were also athletes while you were here as well. So we offer such a well-rounded experience that arguably you couldn't get at a lot of other places because you'd have to, maybe just commit to one thing, maybe 2. Here you can do lots of things. You can become well-rounded in a lot of ways. Actually, you can pitch in on that question too, Sanjay. Was there something that you were talking to 8th grade Sanjay you would advise him for high school?
Well, I guess focus on probably developing who you are, because high school is probably it's a very turbulent time, and you're exposed to all these different peoples, all these different activities, and then you have to decide who you want to be, and then it will carry over into your college well, I'm assuming it will carry over into your college experience. And I think that I like to do a lot of things, and I felt like I couldn't really appreciate some of the things that I was involved in because I was dipping my toe in all these other things. And I feel that if I really did focus and hone in on some of these activities, some of these extracurriculars, I think that it would have paid off a lot more. So focusing on who I am is probably one of the things I would tell my 8th grade going into 9th grade self.
And I've got one last question for you, and I'll hand off to you to talk about its college experience. But just generally, what do you think is the greatest takeaway from St. Thomas that has built a foundation for being successful in college, and your experience so far? What skills, what sort of responsibilities, what things have been sort of the greatest asset to you, I guess I'd say, going into college? Let's see, who haven't we started with first yet? Kate, go ahead and talk to us about that.
So something that I've noticed from St. Thomas, especially this past semester, is that the classes that I took, I didn't realize it at the time, but they were so wonderful for preparing me for what I'm doing now. Like I was sitting in advanced biochemistry, which is a 4,000 level class today, and we were talking about cell signaling. And my professor said, like, most of y'all probably don't know what this is. But in AP biology, my sophomore year at St. Thomas, I had actually covered that topic extensively. And so I knew exactly what she was talking about. Like I knew all the answers to her questions. And I learned that my sophomore year of high school. Yeah. And I'm sitting here in a 4,000 level college class, and my professor doesn't expect me to know about this. So it's just like the kind of classes you take at St. Thomas, they're set up in a way where it's not like, oh my goodness, this is 4,000 level chemistry work and I don't know what I'm doing. Like it's taught to you in a very understandable way, which is wonderful. And like the progression that it takes, I never had trouble understanding anything in the classes that I took. But at the same time, it was very advanced to where I never felt behind when I was in college. And that has translated over to the English classes I've taken and the history classes I've taken, even the math classes I've taken. Like I know what's going on in class a lot more than the other students, like noticeably so. And I think it's really because of the education I got at St. Thomas. And a big thing I learned at St. Thomas was how to understand material on my own. Because a lot of things, it's presented to you. And if you don't understand it immediately, like learning how to go back through it and really comprehend, but also not being afraid to ask your teachers for help. Mm-hmm. Something that Hillsdale is really big on, and St. Thomas was also big on, is talking to your teachers, talking to your professors, and they're willing to drop everything and talk to you one-on-one until you figure it out, until you know what you're talking about. And that's been truly wonderful. It was great in high school, and it's been awesome to continue experiencing that at Hillsdale.
Thanks. And speaking of AP, just out of curiosity, quick show of hands, who took AP credit into college with them and actually used it?
Okay. I transferred in 51 credits coming into Hillsdale.
That's 17.
It's a lot, yeah.
How about you, James? What your biggest takeaway landing at college and looking back and seeing how St. Thomas, maybe even you didn't realize at the time, but prepared you for success in college?
So I would definitely agree with Kate on the fact that the classes that we took in St. Thomas and the AP classes definitely helped here. I transferred a lot of credit hours. I think it was about 16 or 18 credit hours over here. So that helped me get out of a lot of classes and take the ones that I want and focus more on the engineering classes instead of taking the university credits. And also sitting in these very difficult engineering classes like Calculus 2, which I was thinking that today because I was sitting in and we were doing a lecture on something that I covered in St. Thomas too. And a lot of my friends were trying to understand it and struggling on it. And I was there looking across me like, oh, this is how you do it. You do this way. It's like, oh, and they were understanding it more. And then same with physics. Yesterday, we all were working on physics homework together and I was trying to explain in different ways. And I feel like St. Thomas explained it in such a good and detailed way that when I got to college, I still remembered that information, that knowledge through that. So that's a big take. But I would say the two biggest factors that St. Thomas have helped for me here is number one, my work ethic. And number two, I would say keeping a time schedule and keeping like going to classes on time. Because number one, for work ethic, I see a lot of people who struggle behind the first couple of semesters or in classes that it's really difficult because they don't put the time into it and try and put these hours into the classes for studying for tests and everything. And I saw a lot of people have drawbacks on that when we came to finals or exams because they left it to the last sort of day and then they studied about 2 hours the day before. Whereas it's different in St. Thomas because we have to study for those tests in advance and we're taught to study and review days in advance, which is very, very helpful for now in college that I'm on my own and I have to do that by myself. So it put that work ethic into me. And then for the schedule and time, showing up to labs and showing up to classes on time is really key in college because it's very easy learning that and seeing from other people too. And doing it once myself is just missing. It's hard when you're on your own for the first time and you have to try and make yourself go or try and set timers and make yourself, oh, I need to leave 20 minutes early. But St. Thomas really helped with that, from being like, oh, okay, I need to go to this class in 5 minutes. I can try and leave here, do this, and I must be on time to all my classes, because I see a lot of my friends start to kind of lean back and, oh, I'm running late, I'll be there in like 15 minutes, whereas I'm always there 10 minutes ahead, try and get a seat, and a good seat in the front. So both of those things are really good that I learned from St. Thomas.
And Cristina and Lena, would you agree generally with the feedback so far? Is there anything you would add to that?
Absolutely. I think that I had my first semester, freshman year. I had an English writing class along with both of them. Like they were saying, I had an English writing class, and our teacher told us to write an MLA format. And a few of the students didn't even know what that was. And I feel like at STE, we learned that in middle school. They started ingraining it into our head every single year from 8th grade. I think that even the 8th graders are starting to learn that as well. So I think just a lot of the things we take for granted and we think that everyone knows coming into school, not everyone gets that chance to kind of understand the things that we already know. So I think that was a really eye-opening experience, just seeing how lucky we were to know something as simple as MLA format, which I've known for years and years.
The only thing I think I would add is a lot of people get scared coming into college because you'll have a lot of classes. No matter the school, I think you'll have these classes that are just gen eds. So you're in a class with 100 to 500 people. And sometimes it can be scary to think like the professor doesn't want to talk to me. They don't want to answer my questions. But you will find very quickly that when you do go out of your way to ask the question or to spend a little extra time after class with the professor, they will remember your name. They will remember your face. And you might be helping out someone else who had the same question who was afraid to ask. So always go out trying your best and trying to make those connections, because they will help you far down the line. Like I've had multiple professors from big classes write me recommendation letters for scholarships this year, and that's just a great benefit of making those connections. So
Sanjay, so that's a good segue into, I know you have some questions.
No, I wanted, since I'm also like trying to figure out stuff I want to be doing in college, I wanted to ask, what are you guys doing in college? James, how are you spending your free time in college, if you have any?
So engineering is a very difficult major. So a lot of my free time I have to devote to studying or doing homework, because we do get a lot of difficult homework. But honestly, a lot of my free time I spend a lot like going out for like eating lunch or eating dinner. I eat always with friends. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is trying to keep that social aspect up too. And there are really good times, because I actually just came from being with my friends and doing some homework. In the engineering building we have here, there are study rooms that you can reserve. So usually my friends and I will reserve a really big study room, and we'll just go throughout the day and go and try and study or work on some things. Outside that, it's really trying to just keep going, getting out of your dorm, maybe going to the gym, doing different things, and kind of being with friends. But for the most part, I would say trying to focus on keeping school going, maybe like 3 hours, 4 hours devoted to homework per night, just to keep that up. So that's what I would say.
Lena, what about you?
Yes, I think Baylor has a lot of opportunities for extracurricular things like that. I'm involved in intramurals, basketball intramurals, because I did do basketball at ST and I loved it. So I wanted to continue doing it in college. I was involved in the tennis club for last year, my freshman year. And there's honestly a lot of different clubs, hundreds of clubs to join. Again, what James was saying, I feel like at college, I'm always very surrounded by all of my friends at all times, which can be difficult, and learning to manage your time. I feel like ST also helped a lot with learning how to manage your time, because you can be overwhelmed with all the people around you at all times. Your schedule is so busy. Learning how to manage your classes, even though we have less classes, it's not a full just 1 hour, 8-hour day. You kind of have to time manage a little bit better. But yeah.
Cristina, what about you?
So interior design here at LSU is a really difficult major. It's one of the hardest at this college. I spent like this semester I'm taking 21 hours, which is the max that you can take. I had to get special approval for it. But I would say most of my time does go to sitting in studio for more than 4 hours at a time. But when I'm not in class and with my 42 classmates, 43, I do spend a lot of time with my sorority. Greek life is really big at a lot of schools, and you meet a lot of people in those like clubs, forums, whatever you want to call them. So I do spend a lot of time with my sorority. I do live off campus, so it can be harder to spend time with some friends. So I do live with a few girls, but other than that, I would say me personally, I spend the most of my time in the classroom working and just trying to graduate.
Hold a group of hard workers.
Yeah, seriously.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so similar to what James and Christina said, I'm in a fairly difficult major. So I spend a lot of time in the chem lab. I actually work in the chem lab for my on-campus job. And then like I just have a lot of homework, a lot of classes, but I try to prioritize spending time with my friends. I love just hanging out with my friends, talking. We go eat meals together. We'll go drive to Kalamazoo, go see Lake Michigan. You know, all the things they do up here in the north, snowball fights. But I'm really involved in the American Chemical Society chapter here on campus. I'm in a martial arts class. I'm in the theater program. I take a lot of just like fun 1 credits because I can. I took a weightlifting class, just because why not? And then they actually don't cap our credits here, which is probably not wise because I think that I'm also in 21 credits. And that's been like an every semester thing, which, you know, for better or for worse, but it's been really fun and I'm having an awesome time. And it's just like, I'll just take these little 1 credit fun classes with my friends. And then that way I get to really keep connected with them because I do have, you know, a couple hours every week I get to spend with them that I know I'm going to have.
Mhm.
That's nice. So since I had to deal with this past year, what do you think was like, how was the college application process? Because you know a lot of like all the high schoolers here will eventually have to deal with it, and then, like the 9th graders will start or the 8th graders becoming 9th graders will have to start their journey here. How do you think like STE like helped you for that type of stuff?
And I just want to interrupt really quickly because I know, Lena, I know that you need to go. And I think we're probably going to go for another 5 or 10 minutes, but I wanted to be conscious of your time because I know that you said you would have to leave.
I do. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for coming. It was so nice talking to y'all.
You as well.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Hi, Lena.
But yeah, how do you, James? How do you think like the college process here at STE helped you?
So I would say definitely take advantage of resources from STE because I think having a college counselor that can be as devoted to you as Mr. Hughes was to me was so helpful. Any questions at all, you can just write an email because I think a lot of high schools lack that they don't have that connection where you can just send an email out to the college counselor. You know, they're just more there to, oh, we'll send in your transcripts or anything and we'll kind of do it in mass. I think it's better to have that asking questions, trying to figure out where you want to go. And I think having that college counselor helped a lot because through that, I started really early for applications. I started going when they came out on, I think it was August 15th for A&M or August 12th around there. That's the day of is when I submitted my application and for A&M. And I knew before that, talking to Mr. Hughes and talking to like just teachers and everything there, that I knew that A&M was really the place for me and what I wanted to go. So I think that the college application process was made a lot easier by St. Thomas because it is a very stressful time, very stressful trying to decide what college and different things like that. But STE really, it makes you feel prepared and it does prepare you for colleges. And in the end, you'll find out you'll find your place and where you're going. To me, I applied to A&M and I was starting to apply for other colleges, but as soon as I got accepted to A&M really early, I decided honestly, I would like to go to A&M. I think this is my one spot. And I talked a lot with Mr. Hughes about it and just deciding. And he said, well, if that's where your heart takes you, then that's where you should go. So I think that using those resources is amazing. So,
Kate, what about you? What did you think about the STE experience for that type of stuff?
Yeah, so I only applied to 5 colleges, but I wrote somewhere between 15 and 20 essays for admissions. I chose very writing heavy schools to apply to. But for our year, we had Mr. Barber as our college counselor, and he was new to the school, but he was still very helpful because unlike James, I tended to procrastinate on my applications. And so I had sent him an email that has like 6 essays attached and say, hi, these are due in 3 days. Can you proofread them for me? And he would every time. And that was, my bad on those. I should not have been that mean to Mr. Barber because he was wonderful to us. But it's that kind of attention that you get from a small high school where I can send Mr. Barber 6 essays in 3 days and he will read all of them and leave little comments on it and help me like talk through it with me. And I feel like you really don't get that at a lot of bigger schools.
Yeah, that's good. Cristina?
I would definitely say that the college counselor does make a difference. And STE has always had a great history of finding a college counselor that will work for the school. Because I know in this transitional time, it can be a little bit difficult. Starting early is the biggest thing. Unlike Kate, I'm not a procrastinator. I want everything done the moment I get assigned it. So I started very, very early. And like James, I think I turned in all my applications the day they were due, or they opened. I only applied to 4 colleges, and so that made it a little bit easier. I will say college applications can get very expensive. You do have to pay per application, and that is something to keep in mind when you are looking. But just focus on English, honestly. Learn how to write essays in class, and I promise you it will help and mean so much more in college and on your applications in English and any class, really. So that's really about it.
Yeah.
And I think we probably need to start winding down a bit, but I'm very curious, and I'll give you a 2-part question. You can decide which part of it you want to answer. In your college experience thus far, what would you say is either the biggest shock that you've experienced or something that you're most looking forward to in college? And Cristina, since you ended with us, why don't you start us off?
I think my biggest shock was that there was no bell, or I guess the teacher didn't really dismiss you. College students have a mind of their own. They will get up from class and leave as soon as that clock hits the time. So definitely, if you're sitting in the front row, respecting teachers and showing that you're trying to sit there and listen to till they finish their sentence, at least made a big difference in college. I mean, a state university is very different than maybe a private school. So just, I guess, a little bit of the respect and manners that STE taught you. It will be a little bit of a shock when you see thousands of students who might not have had the exact same experience with their professors or teachers. So,
yeah. How about you, Kate? Either biggest shock or thing you're most looking forward to?
Yeah, so Hillsdale's actually very similar to St. Thomas. I liked it so much that I went there for college. So nothing was super shocking, but something I'm really excited for. I'm actually running for president of the ACS next month. I've just gotten really involved in the chem department here. I work as a TA for organic chemistry, which is something really cool because usually TAs are reserved for grad students. So that's really cool that I'm getting to do that as an undergraduate student, especially as a sophomore. So I'm really looking forward to continuing that for my 4 years. And hopefully I will be president of the American Chemical Society at Hillsdale College. And just kind of walking forward into my new career.
Awesome. We're sending you good vibes from Houston. Good luck.
Thank you.
How about you, James? Biggest shock or thing you're looking most forward to?
So I would say going into it, I my biggest shock was honestly how friendly people were and how nice the community here is, because I thought I'm going to go in there at 70,000 people that go to A&M. There's huge class of freshmen. There's about 2,000 engineers, I think, alone doing engineering. So I was like, I'm going to get caught up in kind of the twister of how many people are here, and I'm not going to feel this close-knit community. But honestly, going here, the school spirit, the friendliness that everyone has, if you wear an A&M shirt, it's your immediate connection. And a lot of people say that, but I don't think I really realized it until I came here. Walking, like I sat next to, in my physics class, which since we just started the new semester, none of my friends had the same physics class as me. So I sat down in physics and I was like, okay, I'll probably talk to some people here. I now have friends from physics that I can study with and work with, and it only took me about a week to meet them. And same when I came in first semester, the transition, I was worried about how hard the transition was, but through classes and through just talking to people, people are always friendly, always there to help out too if you have trouble. There's been times where there was someone that I saw that had a dead battery in one of the school parking lots, and there was just like, I went up to ask if people needed help, and there's people walking around just coming and saying, hey, do you need help? Do you need help? We have cars, we can do this, we can try and get you back in the road. And it's that community is just amazing. Like I went to the basketball game last night that we had, and it's just everyone there was just friendly as could be. It was like you're part of a family. You're part of a bigger group than what you realize. And I think that was the biggest shock, was just how easy it was to meet people and how friendly people were.
Is there any question we should have asked any of you that we didn't, or any questions that you can think of, Sanjay, that you were curious about and didn't get a chance to ask?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Something I will add that I think you would be interested in, since we talked so much about family connection, I'm actually interning with MD Anderson this summer in the Houston branch. And I got that internship through a St. Thomas parent who actually reached out to me and said, I know you're majoring in biochemistry. I know that you were a really hard worker when you were in high school here. So if you want to come do research with me this summer, let me know. And I took the position, and that's what I'm doing this summer.
Congratulations. So we'll get you back for the summer.
Yes, I'll be back for the summer. But that's the kind of like close-knit family connection that you get at St. Thomas that I have definitely seen the benefits of.
Well, I owe you guys all lunch. So when you're back for the holidays or for summer, you count me in for that.
I'll take you up on
Thank
it.
you so much, all of you, for again dedicating the time to this tonight. I know you do it out of the love for your alma mater, and we certainly value that. And again, if we can be of assistance to you as an institution, you know where to find us. Again, thank you to Kate Grimley, Cristina Arguelles, James McWhinnie, and Lena Stewart for contributing tonight, and for Sanjay taking time, sacrificing all that homework you would have otherwise been doing to be here with us tonight. You guys have a great night and a great rest of your semester, and take care. Again, thanks so much.
Thank you,
Bye,
Mr.
guys.
Bailey.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.